Okay, Ryan, all I want for Christmas is the Leafs to make a trade. How you doing tonight?
Well, the
Much better
question
than
is,
me, I'm guessing.
my question to you is, and I guess we're going to jump right into this
Yeah, let's
because
get
the Leafs have lost a couple in a row, two
three.
this weekend, three in a row, but two this weekend. Um, and before we started recording, you were off the couch and on the ledge of the building, and we want to you talking drastic things. So you say that you're wishing for the Leafs to make a trade. Are we talking talent in or talent out? Is it time to tear this down?
Just might be. Just might be.
Wow.
Let's just put this week in perspective.
Okay.
0 for 3 on the road. Bad loss to a Berardless Chicago Blackhawks in a truly, utterly pathetic effort. They get berated by their coach. Coach wonders what the team is thinking and why they can't get anything out of them. They go into Washington, get blown out for nothing. Again, rides them
Uninspired,
uninspired
and
play
then
and go and ask them. Don't ask me
oh
why
yeah,
I
coach
can't
calls him
motivate.
out.
Yeah, calls him
Coach
out.
throws
Calls
his
the
hand.
captain out. Calls the captain out. You go ask the leadership. It's the leadership's got to take control. And then tonight in Dallas, although the effort was a lot
Hands in
better.
the air on that one. And you know what? The last time he did that, he was in St. Louis and was fired 10 games later.
Yeah, well,
So
I'm not sure if firing the coach is the right move here. There's talent on this team. I just don't understand why. And then tonight they start out playing hard, but same old thing. Two periods in, they have 18 turnovers. You can't do that in this league. And
no.
let's finish this week off for a second. So lose three. They get outscored this week 12-3, which is bad. And to this point this year, we had
Come,
talked.
let's do that math again. You sure that's bad?
They've gotten outscored 12-3.
That's bad.
It's terrible. And goal scoring to this point of this year versus last year has not been the problem. Like I'm trying to find new stats to share because I know I've been sounding like a broken record. But last year versus this year at this time, last year they were 21-11-2. This year they're 15-14-5. Last year 106 goals for. This year 108. Goal scoring is
Okay.
not hasn't been the issue. It's starting to be an issue. Goals against last year at this time 93. This year 112 and minus 19 in terms of goals for and against. Save percentage is off by a little bit, but shots against they're 27th in the league. Slot shots 29th in the league. Ozone possession time 29th in the league. Cycle chances last. Rebound chances last. Power play second last. Net percentage of power play is 10.4. They've got 12 goals on the power play this season. That
It's actually kind of amazing
is
that they're above 500
terrible.
with
It
those
is
numbers.
terrible. You can't win hockey this way. It's not goaltending. It's team play right now. It's giveaways. It's time on possession. This team was built by Trey Livin to be strong, heavy, forecheck team, and these stats don't play into the way this team was supposed to be built.
Right. But
So
which is
yes, I
just
do believe there's time to make changes.
what's interesting to me is that they still have 100, would you say 106 goals? I mean,
108 goals.
108 goals. So they've got 108 goals and their offensive cycle game is terrible. Their power play is terrible, which suggests to me that they're scoring all of their goals off the rush,
Yeah, they're
which
not.
for a team that was built to be a a forechecking heavy team, and they aren't they like by weight and size the biggest team in the league?
Biggest team in the league.
The biggest team in the league. They're scoring all their goals off the rush.
And but they're not shooting the puck enough on I didn't write it down, but they're one of the fewest shots on net in the league. And that is a problem. And their shooting percentage is fine. They're just not
Yeah.
getting the puck to the net. Their power play is way off. They're not playing to the potential and the style that they were built for, and they have a problem. Now, look, we have some issues on the back end. Tavin out, Carlo out. They're just giving away the puck way too much. And I don't know if you watched the Leafs game last night. You were probably watching the Canadiens game, but Riley again got absolutely walked by Evangelista against the Preds last night for the
Yeah.
game-winning goal, and it was terrible. Here's the problem: the Leafs need to make some moves. The team isn't playing well enough, so their midline players aren't good enough to bring anything else in return, and we don't have enough assets in the minors, and we don't have enough draft picks in order to give up to gain assets. So yes, you want to ask me that question right now? Look at, and you don't ever want to say tank with this team and in Toronto because the expectations have been so high. But
Okay, so
our first round pick next year is top five protected.
you
And
want
they're
that
in
one.
seventh last place last night. They need to drop two or three places in order to protect that draft choice. Maybe it's time to protect that draft choice.
So what do you do to ensure that happens? What are you willing to do? I'm leading you on here because we
If
talked
I'm
about
Trey
this, but
Levin right now, if you can get a couple Class A players, maybe it's time to make a big move and you trade
your
Matthews,
captain.
you trade Nylander, you trade somebody of big value in order to get a big haul in return. You
Would you
get
tr
some
would you
draft
tr
choices.
would you trade Matthews or Nylander first, or would you dump both of them and bring it
I
scrape down to the bottom?
might scrape it down to the bottom. And I look at it. This might be a knee-jerk reaction to a really bad week. The fact that I'm lying on the couch, the fact
Yeah, you're off the
that
couch now. You're on the ledge.
I'm on the
I'm trying to talk
ledge.
you off the ledge
Yeah,
here.
it's just scary. And I know it's Christmas and we still got a back half of the season to go, but they're now, there were 6 points and going into the weekend out of the playoff spot, but they're 1 point out of last place in the East. Too many teams to climb over. With all the and one of the things I've been noticing has been a lot of overtime games by the teams right in front of them.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And that's gonna make it
frustrating.
harder to overcome, right?
Yeah, but
That's
I think that's more frustrating in late February and March. I think now
Yeah, but
you
you got to
don't need to
think
be.
about
Yeah,
making
no,
those
I get it.
steps to get
I get it.
above. There's only so many miracles that Berube can pull out of his hat, pulling St. Louis from dead last in the league
But you don't
to
have to.
the
You don't have
Stanley
to do
Cup.
that. You don't have to do that to make the playoffs,
Well, but
right?
making the playoffs isn't good enough for this team. I,
Understood. But
I,
but that's
I,
what you have to do first,
I
right? And so
understand that, but
a 5 game win streak gets you into a playoff position.
we're not seeing that play out of this team, and I don't. I guess my problem is I don't have the belief that they can do that right now.
Right. Right.
And there's not the play isn't there to suggest that it's possible.
Right. Well, the more concerning thing for me is that they were built to be a playoff team. And the way they are scoring currently is not playoff type stuff, right?
No.
They're not scoring the gritty goals. They're not getting the cycles, as you said. And so if they're not going to be able to do that, they're not going to be able to
No.
compete in the playoffs if they
Well,
were to get there.
they can't possess the puck in the O zone, and that's the playoffs.
Right.
We've talked about in the past where the playoffs, the game changes. It becomes a
Yep.
possession, down low, cycle the puck, win those puck battles in the corner, play hard, play physical, and they're just not doing that right now. So what suggests that that's going to change? So um, maybe some big changes has to be. Maybe you have to tear this thing down. Maybe the window of opportunity is done. It just maybe it is. And then you asked me about Matthews. Here's some Matthews stats right now because it's and I Mike Johnson brought these stats up in the game against Washington this week. He's just not playing what he called fast. We used to see Matthews go down, possess the puck, take the zone. Maybe not McDavid fast because no one's McDavid or McKinnon fast, and ragged. But we used to see him skate and possess the puck and come into the zone with speed, make some moves. He's got a great release, great shot, and he scores some
Mm-hmm.
goals. That's not happening. His top speed this year, and again, it's not going to sound that bad when you say it. Last year was 36.2. This year, 34.7. Last
Kilometers per
year,
hour.
kilometers per hour. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, we got a very
Kilometers. Yeah, sorry
we
for
have
their
a very
American friends. That's
American.
kilometers, because it's all Canadian stats. Last year, bursts of 32 to 35 kilometers per hour. He was in the top 80th percentile of bursts in that. So again, playing with speed, taking control of the ice, really backing off the defenders, which is what his ability to do. So they were always worried about his shot and willing, giving him zone. So they were backing off. This
Mm-hmm.
year, he's below 50% in that category.
Hmm.
His hardest shot last year, 91.4. This year, 86.8. So maybe he's hurt, and maybe that's and I don't never want someone to be hurt, but
No.
Maybe that can be the answer, but then tell us that because his effort on the ice, his play on the ice, the heart he has shown, the leadership he has shown is not captaincy worthy. And maybe it is time to say goodbye. And you know what? I'll say this with the Olympics coming up. If he's captain of Team USA, I'm worried if I'm captain. I'm worried for Team USA if he's the leadership.
Well, you wouldn't worry about Team USA anyway. You're a Canadian,
No, I'm a Canadian, but I said if I'm a USA fan, I'm worried about if he's wearing the C.
Wow.
And again, maybe it's a knee jerk reaction to a really bad week and a bad season, but maybe it's time to tear the sucker down.
Wow. Wow. Big words from Phil Piazza. They will reverberate around the internet tomorrow.
It'll reverberate around our 35 people listening to us.
Hey, that's a reverberation.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get some traction with that, but I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I don't think firing Berube is the answer. If you're going to fire somebody in the front office, it's Trey Livin. He's the one that's built this team.
Yep.
But then what do you do? You're gonna have somebody come in. It's gonna take them time to make. We got a
you don't want to start
coming up.
You don't want to start turning into the Buffalo Sabres where you're
No.
firing coaches and GMs in
No.
alternating years and you never get anywhere.
No,
I agree with that. You gotta start establishing a culture.
Yep.
And they're struggling right now. They're a fragile team.
Nylander hasn't scored in 10 games.
If he's not performing and Matthews is not performing,
yeah. And when your coach is calling the players out, I wouldn't say on a nightly basis, he's trying to stay positive, but he has clearly called them the leadership out on this team 2 or 3 times in the last week and a half.
Yeah.
And they're not. The scary thing is they're not responding.
No,
they did a little bit tonight. They started out pretty good. They had a lot of shots on net. Again, giveaways are an issue. Puck possession are an issue. Offensive zone time is an issue. Playing in their own end is an issue.
Right. Well, look, again, they're a big team. Yeah. They're a heavy team. Maybe they need. Well, I know that, but is it possible that the compressed schedule affects a team like that a little bit more?
I think the compressed schedule is hurting a lot of teams right now.
Oh my God. We'll talk about
that. Like the injuries alone.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a sec because I was watching the Canadiens Penguins game tonight and the third period.
Well, you texted me at one point. These two teams look exhausted.
Yeah, they looked really, really tired. Especially Montreal actually, but they both looked very tired.
But let's segue into Montreal because that's enough about the Leafs.
That's enough about the Leafs.
I have thrown out the bomb of the evening. Let that lie there. Let's see what people react to it. Let's go into Montreal because yes, they ended up losing in a shootout, but oh my God. Penguins never got the puck into the Montreal.
I've never seen. The Penguins did get one shot on goal, but aside from that shot on goal, I think the Canadiens possessed the puck for 4 minutes and 45 seconds.
Oh, it was incredible! And it was 4 posts.
Hit three posts. I said right before. Right before Craig Button said it, I said, they've done everything except score a goal. And then he goes, they've done everything except score a goal. Like, damn it, I should be on television. But like they're an unbelievably fun 3-on-3 team to watch. That's what is a Freudian slip because they're an absolutely god awful 5-on-3 team to watch. They couldn't score with a 10-minute 5-on-3, but 3-on-3, like they look just amazing. You give Demidov a little space. You give Caulfield and Suzuki and Slavkovsky and especially Hudson.
Just room to spin for 3-on-3,
right? And he continues to be the team's best player. I mean, he just quarterbacks the movement of the puck from end to end all night long. It's just amazing to watch him play. What an absolute steal he was in the draft. What an absolute steal. So, feeling pretty good about things. A couple players I want to highlight this week. Joe Veleno, who may have gotten a concussion in this game in the third period, which would have been pretty sad because he's been playing pretty well lately. Doesn't score a lot of goals, but he's kind of embraced his role as a penalty killer, a grind line kind of guy. His puck skill is really still very much evident when he goes into corners and he uses his hands to free pucks up and jar them loose. Like, he'll never be the most physical guy on the ice, but he's really sort of he's finding a role for himself, and I'm impressed with that. Same thing with Josh Anderson. I mean, I said this about him last year, and he's really further embraced it. He had another shorthanded breakaway chance that he didn't convert on again tonight, but he's turned into a fantastic penalty killer. He's turned into a real physical presence as a forward, and he's starting to really sort of show, Slavkovsky, how it's done when you're giant. How to have a presence. Slavkovsky laid a couple guys out tonight, and Sammy Blais, who you guys waived, came back to the Canadiens and got some ag. He got called up with the Jake Evans injury, and he threw his body around as well tonight. There are going to be a few Penguins in the ice tub tonight. They earned their win, to be sure. Yeah. But the thing that worries me about the Canadiens is the inconsistency. That when they start, I think it's a fatigue thing. Like, when they start to get tired, they start making more sort of fancy hope plays as opposed to solid, point to point pass plays, and it that worries me a little bit.
But this is where I think the schedule is a team like Montreal, team like Edmonton, team like the Avalanche, these fast teams that play at a high pace. This compressed schedule has got to start to affect them. Now, obviously, the Avalanche is working through it just fine.
Yeah.
But a young team like Montreal that's got some players that aren't used to playing this volume at this pace and this compressed schedule, it's got to be affecting them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I feel like the legs are starting to look a little bit heavy at times, but it's the mental focus, I think, that goes first. And
so let me ask you a couple questions then.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're in this zone here with,
okay,
they're looking tired, they're looking unhealthy. Caulfield and Suzuki and maybe Hudson are on the brink, a bubble of making their respective teams for the Olympics. Would you rather them see, they're in second place in the division, they've got a good shot if they could have a good run in the playoffs. Would you rather see them rest or rather see them make the Olympic team? Tough question.
It's a very tough question. I will say this very, very honestly. I think it would be better for the Canadiens for two reasons if they didn't make their teams.
Wow, look at that.
And the reason for that is Suzuki got snubbed by Team Canada for the Four Nations and immediately became, for the next 12 months or whatever it was, the fourth leading scorer in the NHL. Like, he really turned it on. He dragged the Canadiens into the playoffs. And so with a chip on his shoulder, he's even better than he is. Although I don't know.
How would it affect him if he does get the confidence that he might get from playing in it? That's why I understand why you're sort of, there's a fence here, and it's like, which way do I go?
and obviously it preserves his energy level. On the flip side, to your point, yes, it would, having that experience would absolutely goose his confidence level even further. But more importantly, just personally, I mean, I'm a big fan of Nick's, and I want him to accomplish everything that he wants to accomplish. And obviously that includes playing for his country. I'd say the same thing about Caulfield. But when you think about it, and Craig Button was talking about this during the intermission tonight, the Canadiens have a few potential Olympians, not just those two. I don't think Noah Dobson is seriously in contention. I don't think he's going to make the team. But Oliver Kapanen very well might make Team Finland. He's playing so bloody well. He's leading all rookies in goal scoring. Right, no, Oliver Kapanen scored a goal tonight.
Okay, I thought he was injured.
And Slavkovsky's going to play for Slovakia. So, they're going to have some important players potentially going to the Olympics, and hopefully that won't tire them out. But
you're right. That's the problem, is that you might have a tired team coming back from the Olympics because you might have 4 or 5 players playing in the tournament, where the least
true. I don't anticipate Finland or Slovakia making the medal round, right?
Yeah,
so
it's still a grind over those weeks.
It is a grind, but at least you'll have 7 days or so to rest up before the league picks up again.
The other question I wanted to ask you is, okay, we're now in the trade freeze.
Yep.
How quickly after that freeze is up on the 29th is Monty traded because Edmonton needs another goaltender because Jari's out for a few weeks. There's a few
I
teams that need
don't.
another goaltender.
I
Do
think
you
the
think Monty's going
Canadiens.
to keep him? You can
I
go.
think the Canadiens are going to try and, as best they can, have him work his issues out in Laval until he can come back.
Hmm.
I think if you are taking the playoffs seriously this year, and I really hope that they do, you can't. I don't know that you can go into the playoffs with a 24 and a 21-year-old goalie, at least not confidently. Although Fowler's first career shutout last night was very, very solid. It was not a spectacular shutout, but it was very, very solid in the sense that like his positioning was great. He made the series look easy. More importantly, no rebounds. I mean, the guy just doesn't give up rebounds. Dobish, his first goal tonight was not the first one. The second one was a rebound goal, the one that allowed Sid Crosby to pass Mario Lemieux as the all-time franchise leader in points. Congratulations to Sid. My autographed jersey just went up in value again.
Now, let me challenge that, though, that statement you just made. And I apologize again. I know I'm cutting you off again. I want to go back to Monty for a second.
Okay.
Because you just made a suggestion that the Habs can't win in the playoffs with a young goaltender. Now, if my memory is correct,
that's happened before.
there's been two rookie goaltenders in Montreal's history that have won Stanley Cups in the rookie year: Patrick Waugh and Ken Dryden.
Yeah, look, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. I know that they would prefer not to
I hear you, but it can happen.
Yeah, it can happen. They
prefer
it's not
happened
to
twice
bank
for
on
the Habs.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like, and then the other thing we have to talk about is after I said I didn't want them to make the trade for Phil Deneau, they went ahead and traded him.
I was going to ask you,
for
but
a
that was my
second
next
round
question.
For a second round pick. And I thought they overpaid, but everybody on the internet seems to disagree with me. And I think a lot of people might be saying that because Jake Evans is hurt and we don't know how serious it is. And they need that third line center replaced. And, Sammy Blais ain't the guy to do it. So, maybe from that perspective, it's good. The other thing that people were talking about that I hadn't put as much stock into, as perhaps it deserves. I'm not going out on a limb to defend it or not defend it, but he can win defensive zone faceoffs on the left side, and he does have the ability to play a defensive role from the center position late in games when you're trying to protect leads. He, has had absolutely amazing numbers over the course of his career. Maybe the offensive numbers aren't there and the defensive game has come down just a little bit. But, when you look at his efficiency numbers against guys like McDavid and McKinnon and Crosby and Kucherov, maybe it's still a good acquisition. And besides, it wasn't their own second round pick, right? It was the one they got from Columbus. So you could make the argument that the cost wasn't that great.
There you go, man. That's good.
All right, so I'm not firmly on the side of this was a good deal. I'm not coming around and rah, rah, rah. By the way, Deneau was one of my favorite players. I've always loved when the Canadiens have had great defensive second-line centers. I was a huge Plekanec fan, big Phil Deneau fan. I just don't know if that guy's slowing down a little bit too much. But so that's the Canadiens report.
Good, but okay,
second in division.
So the hiring freeze is on.
Yep.
As we go around the league here, let's chat.
The roster freeze is in effect. They managed to get
29th.
the massive Mason Marchment deal done just under the
There was a couple
deadline.
of small, dinkly little trades. Your Montreal trade and Marchment being the other one. So here's the question. I said there was going to be a biggie and a doozy before the
well, you got your biggie and a doozy
before the
last
Christmas
week.
break, and it happened.
Yep.
I'm now saying the floodgates are somewhat open, and I think that the trade deadline technically is in February, though it gets moved this year because of the Olympics till after. I think it's after the Olympics, so it's going to be a little bit later this year than it traditionally is. Does the artificial trade deadline become the Olympics? Because at what point does Rasmus Anderson now go on the block? And Kadri and Calgary, do they keep one of those two? Do they trade both of them? They can get a haul for both of those guys right now.
Well, those guys have been
a lot of teams that need both of them.
They've been playing well, and the Flames have been playing a little bit better generally.
They're only 5 points out of the playoffs, but let's be honest, this team ain't winning anything. So again, might as well full rebuild and go for it.
Yep.
and you can get a haul for these guys because you'd probably Rasmus Anderson likely ain't re-signing with the Calgary Flames.
Yep. Yep.
So get your haul now, go for it.
I
Do you
here's the
think he goes
big.
before the Olympics or after the Olympics?
I think he goes
I'm saying before.
yeah, maybe before. I mean, the thing is, if the trade deadline is delayed until after the Olympics, you gotta have you gotta have more than a month with these guys to integrate them into the team so that they can
That's
be
what I
helpful for
think.
you in the playoffs.
That's why I think
But
that
here's the bigger question. This is the one I've been thinking about. Um, I'm not exactly sure when he's due back from his injury, but I think the way that things have gone lately for Pittsburgh, as soon as he's healthy, Gino's on the block.
you think so?
I think Evgeny Malkin is the next big asset to go because
I mean, he has no
um,
trade, and he's suggested he doesn't want to go anywhere.
he doesn't want to go anywhere, but he's also probably never going to compete for a Stanley Cup again unless he does.
100%.
And so, I think if somebody like
Where's the fit for him then? Where do you think the fit for him is? 'Cause I don't see the fit for him, and I don't want to see him in Toronto because what you have to give up for him, you don't want a guy that's a 1 year, 2 year guy that's got,
what kills me to
is
say,
well past his due date.
I can see Florida doing it. They
Wow.
find a way. Florida finds a way.
Wow. I could see that. I just don't see the fit there. But I
You
don't
know,
think he fits that mentality. He's not that gritty, grindy, hard-nosed player anymore. I know he's got his edge. I know he's got his sort of side
but
of him like that, but
and
he
he's a big
doesn't
guy.
put
He's a
his
big
heart
guy,
into it the
and
way
but what he
that
can
team
do,
does.
but what he can do is take a little bit of the pressure off for Hagee and Reinhart and Kachuk when he comes back, and
Mhm.
spread things out a little bit more. And I just, the other team that you always worry about, although I could never imagine how they could do this fiscally, is Vegas. They find a way to get things done. And I
Yeah,
think they
but
could use a spark too.
I'm not disagreeing that Vegas could probably use some help, but I think where they need their help is on the back end. They
Yeah.
need some better goaltending because they've got goaltender issues. Carter Hart isn't, he's been out for a long time. He's had a few good starts, but he's getting trenched tonight, although it's now
Yep.
4-3 in Edmonton. But they need some help on the back end. So I'm thinking they're the lead for Anderson.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're probably
Unfortunately, as
right.
much as
You're
I'd like to
probably
see
right.
him in Toronto, I think they're the lead. That's where he'll end up.
Yeah, and they've got the Petrangelo money that they can
Yeah.
spend. So,
And they need to
um,
replace him.
yeah, very very badly,
Yeah.
very very
So,
badly.
but yeah, so I
But
think there's going to be
how
another
about
biggie before the Olympics, and I think Anderson might be the guy. Buffalo's going to make some moves now with all the changes in Buffalo.
yeah,
With
Jarmo Kekalainen's going to
now,
do a few things.
here's a question for you. You saw what he did as GM in Columbus
Yes,
and made a complete mess.
he made a hash out of it, and then he got another job.
And now, why is Buffalo think that he's going to be able to do anything there?
Well, can't be
Not
worse than Kevin Adams,
Kevin Adams, I had to go, but I didn't think that he
right?
was going to get the job.
Well, they hired they. I
Heard
don't know if you saw
Bergevin. They brought in
they brought
Bergevin.
Bergevin as an assistant
Yeah.
GM, and who knows? Maybe he's waiting in the wings if things don't work out with Kekalainen. But
Maybe.
but the other name that I was, now granted, since the Hughes trade, both Vancouver and Minnesota are 4-0. But
Up until tonight,
Kiefer
Minnesota's going to lose tonight.
Minnesota's going to lose tonight. But like Kiefer Sherwood is having a second great year in a row. He is a spicy player, gets under everybody's skin. He's big, throws his weight around, scoring goals at a pace he never has in his career. So he's not paid that much. I mean, this guy could bring in a real haul for Vancouver, and they are going to sell off some parts. They've got to make some changes. The problem with Vancouver is they remind me a lot of Montreal a few years ago, when Carey Price was sort of single-handedly keeping them out of the basement. And we said that about a few teams, right? I said that about Shesterkin in New York.
Yeah.
But Thatcher Demko, when he's healthy, is a top
goaltender.
3 goalie in the world.
Absolutely.
And he could single-handedly prevent Vancouver from being that bad. But they are going to sell some parts off. And I think Kiefer Sherwood, I would love to see him in Montreal.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him in Montreal.
Well, the piece that Vancouver needs to rid themselves of is a player that I can't see anybody wanting, and that's
Elias
Pettersson.
Patterson.
Like
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't see.
like you at one point you could see yourself with that 100-mile-an-hour shot and his heady play, especially on the power play. Like it's like this is a guy who could score 67 goals a year every year, and instead his play has just disintegrated.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Disintegrated. I hope that's not what Matthews is becoming.
Uh, we've beaten that
We've been over
horse.
that. We've been
We've
over
beaten that
that.
horse to a dead
That's a dead. That's
dead
not even a
horse
horse. That's
beaten.
not even a horse corpse anymore. It's just dust in the
Yeah,
ground.
no. But the other issues you go around with staying in the West for the moment. Hellebuck came back for the Jets and they had a couple wins early, but they're struggling right now. They need to make a move to keep them in the mix because they're 6 points back as well and
Yep.
not playing particularly well. And this is a team that we both now, mind you, while Hellebuck was gone, they went on a really bad string and so have fallen off. But they seem to have lost their confidence here, and that team needs to get it back going. So I can see them being in the mix somewhere here for a few of these players. So
Yeah. I
that
mean,
could
well,
be
part of the problem is once you get past, you know, Shifley, Connor, and Velarde, they're not getting they're not getting much scoring from the
yeah.
rest of the team. Josh Morrissey's having another very quiet Morrissey should be a Norris candidate kind of season.
Yeah.
But Shifley, Connor, and Velarde, 43 points, 31 points.
Yeah.
That's your entire offense right there.
Yeah. It's
And
limited.
that's
Limited. So
that
that's where they could use some help too, right?
yep.
That's what I'm saying is they could use some help. And let's look twice here for a moment. Since the Jari trade and before it, Edmonton's gone 7-2-1. Now Jari got hurt the other night, so they're in
Yeah.
trouble with some bad goaltending.
Good Lord. Connor
But
Ingram.
but that Connor McDavid and Draisaitl have put the team on their back again, and they're making another run here.
Yeah.
And now third in the division. Obviously still tight on that side of the equation, but they're seemingly doing it again. When we said how many years
Smoke and
in a row
mirrors.
can they come out of the gates looking like a donkey and finish it looking like a thoroughbred?
Well, that's what the Islanders used to do.
Yeah.
Back in their heyday, they played just well enough to get into the playoffs and make noise.
Yeah.
And then
who knows?
then they barely lost games in the playoffs. So look, the Canadiens have one game this week against Boston. It's Boston, so I want to win this one more than just about anything else. What have you guys got this week?
We got the Pens and we've got Detroit.
Oh, you got
I
two.
believe. I think we actually have three because we have the Pens, Detroit, and we have back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. I think it's Ottawa and
Oh,
Detroit, and I can't remember what it is. I think it's Ottawa on Saturday and Detroit on Sunday, or it's the other way around. But we got three games this week. So Wednesday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday. So that could be an ugly mess for the Leafs.
yeah.
Some of these teams, it's hard to every game the Leafs are going to play are as a team above them, but they've
Right.
got to start to string these wins together, and they can't win in overtime. They need to win in regulation, and they need to hope the teams ahead of them are losing in regulation. They can't keep gaining a point here and a point there. They need to make a run.
Yeah.
And again, I will say what I said off the top of the show. I think maybe it's time that the team makes some drastic moves.
Some drastic moves. Well, don't say that during the roster freeze. You want the boys to have a nice Christmas.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall for the next week and a half or 10 days while this freeze is on.
Mm-hmm.
To what meetings are happening with Trey Levin, with Berube, and the MLSE Brain Trust, and saying, what are we doing, guys?
We got to do something.
Are we going to make the call to go in this direction, meaning trying to save the season and trying to get out of the basement and make a run for the playoffs, whether we win it or not? Are we going to try and do that? Or are we going to go in the other direction, start selling off parts and trying to rebuild this organization into what we envision it to be in the future? And that's the decision they have to make.
Yeah.
And
well, look,
they're in that phase of there's only two directions to go. You can't keep doing what's going on.
Well, maybe has anybody tried to find out if Trey Savage can skate? He saved the Blue Jays.
Yeah, if he could only.
He saved the Blue Jays.
Clement is a hockey player.
Oh, okay.
Clement is a hockey player, so maybe we can give him a pair of hockey skates because he was the sort of engine that could in the playoffs for the Jays. So maybe we
Yep.
put him in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well,
Anyways,
we're gonna go off, enjoy our holiday,
yes,
and
you too.
we're gonna
Enjoy
take
yours.
thanks. We're gonna take a Sunday off next week.
I thought we hadn't decided that.
Oh, we hadn't decided? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, let's not tell people not to
Stay- all
tune
right,
in next
all right,
week.
don't-
We
all
might
right.
have, if we're not here live, we had talked about doing our little special episode this week.
That's right.
So maybe
That's right.
maybe we'll do that this week. But either way, there'll be an episode next week.
There will be an episode. It may not be current events related. Maybe this will be our TV and movie
Yes.
exploration of hockey.
And I've explained what I want Santa to leave me under the tree as far as the Leafs goes. What do you
Yep.
want Santa to leave you under the tree for the Canadiens?
I want some of their injured players to start getting healthy. And they've lost Evans and now Valeno. Perhaps, I hope not. And we're still a month away from getting Gooley. I don't know when Alex Newhook is coming back or Kirby Doc. These guys got to start coming back.
And let's not forget the 29th or 30th, the 30th, the Team Canada and the
31st.
Olympic roster, 31st, the Olympic roster will be named. So we're looking forward to that as well. But until either next week or the week after, have a great Christmas holiday with your family. And I will see you next week on the Aiming 5 Hole podcast.
Cheers, Phil.
Bye-bye.